Hello, beautiful people. Happy spring. Yay. It's not warm anyways. Doesn't matter. Just kidding. Hello, beautiful audience of Athletics LLC. Thank you so much for coming and joining us for another fun episode. It's number 50. Not that it really matters on the calendar, but it's 50. So it's our, what's that called? Not a half centennial. I don't know what it's called.
Don't do math.
It's called 50 weeks.
50, whoop, whoop.
And you're done.
Yeah, I tried and then it didn't happen. So
yeah, it just kind of rolled in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
Fumble is what we call
my
it.
bad,
That's a
my
fumble.
bad. So let's say hello to the lovely tiles that are joining me once again in another fun week. Lamar of Gryffindor. I have no words for that one. That one's just
Shout out to all my shout out to my Potterheads.
or Hermione and whatever the redhead,
Yeah.
Ron coming.
Yes, absolutely.
Sir Lucious, how are you tonight?
I am wonderful. I, like you, perplexed by Lamar, but
Shout out to the Potterheads.
It's another day, right?
Another day.
Just another day.
Another night of useless information.
You know, but it's funny. It gets used so much as I don't think it's useless anymore.
And last but definitely not least, Clyde, sir. Oh, did you? Did you?
Cam is here, still undefeated.
Petty as they come.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I
love it.
I see we wear medals on the show now. Oh, okay.
There we go.
I got a few.
Here we go.
See what you started?
A few.
See what you started?
Hey, I understand.
Hey, you know what? We got a couple future guests that have won some medals, so maybe we'll get them to wear all of theirs.
Anyway.
With that too.
Anywho.
All right. Let's talk about some fun stuff.
Right. So I think since I was the host of the nonsense that took part last week, I should be the person that recapped the nonsense that went on last weekend. So I mean, the reason for the medal, and you should put it back on, you know, if that's what you'd like to do, you know, it'll make you feel better. Our man Clyde basically curb stomped the competition when it came to the prediction contest. In the overall contest, Clyde 79, Lamar 59, Big League 47. For the men only, Clyde 42, Big League 29, Lamar 24. For the women, Clyde 37, Lamar 35, Big League 18.
Irony.
Yeah. Big League, we got to do better. So basically, the reason for the medal is, and as I'm sure he'll be glad to tweet and Facebook and anything else. It's a sweep for Clyde. So, you know, he handled his business. But I do believe that if you were paying attention to the picks, there will be some people that will let you guys know that some events were absolutely horrible.
Yes.
And when there's 126 points available, and then yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
Listen, we gonna own all our mistakes.
You have no choice
From the mistake.
Yeah, you have no choice. But that being said, I mean, it was a wonderful championship. So, like, what are you guys' biggest takeaways? Like, Big League, what were your biggest takeaways from the meet?
Just how as much thought and not thought we put into this process of our picking of winners in first, second, and third. Just people stepped up. I mean, the biggest one for me was Tara Davis. Like, wasn't even a thought in my mind, not even a consideration. Obviously, I mean, a consideration to be competitive, but to come out on top, like, I literally, like, my mouth dropped. I was like, oh, she's okay. You're in. My bad. So that was the biggest one, and just how people really just took advantage of it. And it's something I think everyone should have realized at that point, that regardless of what actually happened indoors, like, people were going to show up if they were allowed to come. So we should have remembered that. We should have known better than that.
What, Clyde? I mean, I'm gonna let you go last, Clyde, because since you are the champion, so
Well,
Lamar, like,
since I'm happy to go last, but since Chu kind of started us off on our
hold on a second. Hold on a
stick to
second.
the women's meet first.
Hold on a second. You just stay there. I got this. Okay. Lamar, your biggest takeaways from the meet?
Javon is not of this planet. So I remember when he was a freshman, and I was like, dang, that dude is ridiculously bouncy. He has no idea what he's doing. Like, he's going to win stuff just because he's super bouncy, but he's got to learn. Well, hey, this just in, he still has a fair amount to learn technically, but what he has learned, he has applied. And at this point in time, the young man he's the greatest combo vertical horizontal jumper ever. Forever, ever. So I give all props to Javon and all that helped coach him, because what he did at the national meet it's not different. It's not special. It's otherworldly.
Okay, Mr. Clyde, the floor is now yours. Your biggest takeaway of the meet.
So honestly, biggest is hard. At least for me. On the men's side, it's not hard. Lamar nailed it. It's Javon Harrison. At the end of the day, that kid and those performances are what I will always remember about this particular men's championships. It never seen anything like it. And, even though I predicted it, like, I did it out of fandom for the kid and respect for, his athleticism. But that's incredibly, and
I mean, that's why I didn't pick him to do it, because it's incredibly hard to do. It had nothing to do with him.
Of course. And the way he did it, it's not like he pulled it off jumping, short or low.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was incredible.
Even on opposite days.
Right. The only thing that was wrong with Javon Harrison's performance is they didn't put more of it on TV. That's the only thing that was missing from that performance. So on the men's side, that is the biggest thing that I took away from it. On the women's side, the biggest takeaway that I had from the meet, interestingly enough, and I think it's one of the larger narratives that kind of ties into to all things we're going to talk about on the show. I think everybody came into the championship ready to watch the Athing Mo show, and her teammate stole the show. Tyra Giddens was the star of the women's meet, and it wasn't really close. So on the women's side, that was my biggest takeaway. That was the culmination of things I was most impressed with was Miss Giddens. But I mean, yes, Tara Davis was phenomenal, and a whole bunch of other people that I'm sure we're going to rotate around and get back into. But those were my two biggest takeaways and what I will always remember about the 2021 indoor championships. And honestly, shout out to whoever, maybe we're crediting the SEC with it, I don't know, but whoever's idea it was for COVID protocol to split the meet. I think it played very well on television. Obviously, I wasn't in the building, so I don't know how it played, behind the scenes and warm-ups and stuff like that, but it played well on TV. And since the outdoor model was already that way, I wonder if that's something that we end up keeping moving forward.
Well, that you've actually kind of moved where I was going to go before we delve into the actual performances. What were you guys' thoughts on the split gender, the way it was done? And obviously, Clyde, you already gave your thoughts on it. Big League and Lamar.
I thought it was amazing, and I will say, the reality of the situation is when the genders are split, the women get to shine as brightly as they deserve. When the genders are together, you can watch, like in the women's 100, you can watch a woman run 1099, but if it's after a guy running 989, it doesn't feel right. If it's before a guy running 989, you forget all about it. when you see it happen this way, like you watch the whole women's meet, you go take a quick shower, get your mind right, and then you watch the whole men's meet, or vice versa, obviously. But you feel as excited for every one of the women's performances as you should be. And, look, this is one of those positive things I hope has come out of COVID. Like, I definitely think the meet should continue to go that way. I don't know how it played in the building. So, I mean, you're going to have to speak to that for us. But I'll say from a spectator standpoint, how hyped was I to watch the meet? Oh, it was beautiful.
And in the building, I mean, it played well. It was, obviously it was a long day for the people that have, both genders, myself included, obviously. But I mean, I totally agree, and this will kind of lead us down the path of some of the other things. If the men and women are together, then the young lady from USC in the 400, her upsetting a thing Mo totally gets lost by the guy that ran 44.7. Right. Abby Steiner tying the collegiate record gets totally overshadowed by Matt Bowling's 2019. Mm-hmm. And if Javon and Tyra are in the building together, nobody's paying attention to Tyra because it's all about Javon. So I totally agree that having the women on their own stage allows them to shine very brightly, very brightly. So in being in the building, the energy was the same, the focus, the drive, it's all there. And I think as you move forward, if you will now allow, spectators in the building as we get better, and obviously the men's programs can stay in the building and not be sent home, that has energy to it as well, so, but, speaking of the crowd. Yeah, but speaking of the 200s, I mean, I'm going to climb the tree. I'm not ready to walk out on that limb with you, but Miss Steiner was very impressive. She was super impressive. I'm standing there. I'm close, but I'm not walking out there just yet till we get to outdoor performances. But what a performance by Abby Steiner. And
I mean, it's so rare to see a collegiate female athlete who literally is not concerned with the rest of the collegiate female athletes. Right. Like at no point in time did she think anybody could beat her. And that was obvious.
You could probably say the same thing about Tyra. Like Tyra was just on a mission from the moment that she walked in the building. And she did break the collegiate record, which we were told it probably wasn't going to happen, but it did. So,
well, I mean, to drill down on the women for a second. I mean, obviously the nerds of the sport like us, like we have a good concept in the context of Tyra's story and all that came along with the transfer and the fact that she's literally been on the show for 2 years. It's like, that was amazing to see. And I think those are the kind of stories that, ultimately the broadcast can do a better job of highlighting. Because it just
What do you mean by being on the shelf for 2 years?
Well, like when she first went there, she didn't compete, and then COVID.
No, that's not true. No, Tyra was the SEC champion in 2019.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I'm thinking about the
Tyra competed in 2018 at Tennessee, and Georgia. and I don't know, she was at Texas A&M.
Yeah, I'm for Georgia.
No, Tyra Gittens has never been.
No, I'm not talking about Giddens.
We're talking about. I'm talking about Tyra Gittens right now. They have tackle.
Oh no, that's not what I was talking about.
Okay, so we're talking about the wrong thing.
My bad. We flipped names.
I was trying to give you props for the fact that you asked if she could break the collegiate record in the pit, and you were told that it wasn't going to happen, but it did happen.
We were just talking about jumps, and I'm thinking about long jump. Yes, that did happen. It did happen. I threw that out there. I was told unlikely, and she got that done.
I mean, and it was unlikely, but let's give props where props are due. She jumped 6'4" in the multi. Like, I mean, that's it right there, right? If we just go back to
it wasn't 6'4".
Hello, sir, look it up. Absolutely, it was 6'4".
Okay.
It was 6'4", 193.
Oh no, fancy that, how that happened.
Okay, look, so you got one right. My bad. I walked out of the building. I didn't see it. My girl was.
I mean, that's the one you would have known I was going to get right, though, right?
Yeah,
I was
okay.
watching every second of that.
All right. So the problem was I was talking about Tyra. You're talking about Tara.
Yeah.
Right. I was talking about Davis in the long jump and the whole charade of the transfer and the time missed, and
Yeah.
you know, those kind of stories that the broadcast can find time to talk about those things. The audience, the casual audience, could, you know, learn a lot more about these kids and their stories, because there's a litany of incredible stories in there. But
the problem you have when it's when the genders are split, the time is not as much.
oh sure, no, it's
now you were already complaining that it didn't do enough Javon Harrison. If you start putting all the feel good stories in there, you're gonna get a lot less of even less.
I don't know, you know, maybe a pre-production or something. I don't know. Just we got to find a way to tell these.
Well,
kids.
see, I think that's where the Texas media people have to grab that one. You know, with all the stuff they push out on social media, that should be something that, you know, hey, that's a huge story. You know, she comes here broken, and then she's got COVID. You know, because in 2019 she was at the NCAA championship sitting in the stands because she was hurt.
Yeah.
You know, in 2020 she doesn't get to compete for COVID, and in 2021 she's a collegiate record holder. So, you know, I put that more on the Texas media than the folks at ESPN. But
as far as for me, the two most shocking performances in the women's meet are obviously a thing Mo getting upset in the 400. And I really want to articulate this the way I feel it. Miss Roberts from USC deserves all kind of praise for that race. That race was gutsy to come out of lane 3, take the pole position, and then just basically thug out the rest of the race. Like, that's what indoor racing should look like. That was a gutsy performance, and I was really, really impressed that she, you know, took it the way she did. And I think she was a little disrespected by everybody, because everybody was so enamored with Mo, and rightfully so. She earned it. It's like everybody forgets that the NCAA champion was in that race, and she just wasn't ready to give up her crown, and went out and did something about it. And a lot of people in that position would fold, and she didn't. So, you know, major props to her.
And I think that's a great point, because I mean, from the gun, I was standing next to Quincy, and from the gun, you know, and look, those of us in the building that had people in the 400, that was the only way you're going to beat her. Because if you let her go out in 24-1, she's gonna destroy you. So the only way to do was to try to take her out of her comfort zone and then fight to stay ahead of her. That's the only way you're going to beat her.
It was the fight that most impressed me when they came around that final turn and she moved up on her and she gave her the little stick and just held her off. Like, that's how you got to race, man. Like that was a hell of a job. And then for me, the other shocking result was Oregon in the 60. That was a hell of a performance. And I mean, that was a blowout from start to finish. That no one saw that coming. I mean, I'm sure Curtis did. Props to Curtis. But no one saw that coming. And that was a great performance. I mean, that young lady put herself on the map with that performance. That was a lot of fun.
Record.
It's funny that you mentioned that, though, because I think one of my favorite moments of the meet was how surprised she was.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. I thought that was awesome, because that just goes to show you like what coaching really is. Like, I'm sure if you ask Curtis, he'd be like, if she executes, she'll win. Right. But obviously she didn't think that. She didn't think that.
See, I think she expected to win, but I think the time was what surprised her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the time surprised her, because I think that the time surprised everybody in the building, her coach included.
You know, 05 is old fast.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and then the women's 800 in the absence of Miss Mo, too flat. You know,
again, another extremely gutsy performance by the lady from Baylor. Is it Miller? Her last name is Miller,
I believe so. Yeah.
I mean, she was like, "I'm going out 56, and whatever happens, happens."
And see, and the funny thing is, I talked to her coach, Todd Harbour, and Todd said, well, the plan was to go out in 59. and she just got a little excited without the 56 shot. And
That's
she
scary.
and I just said, well, thank God you guys are strong enough to finish, because and she just kind of took the race and just threw it into a tizzy. It was amazing to watch.
It almost looked like the pack on that first lap. It almost looked like whatever, she's coming back.
Yeah, she'll drop.
It was like, nah,
Yep.
we're gonna run out of room. Like, y'all not
Yeah,
gonna-
when she got the 500, it got to be, well, maybe she's not coming back.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to the LSU coaching staff for development. And I say this because a lot of times we see really, really good performances and we go back and they were the best kid in high school and sometimes the talent gets more managed than developed. But I just looked it up because I didn't know. Javon Harrison's high school PBs were 7.2 in the high jump and 23 feet, half an inch in the long jump.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So 4.5 feet, you're doing some things.
Yeah,
And 4 inches on top of 7.2, almost 5 inches. He's what, 7.6 3/4, I think it is. Yeah, all of that. And let's be clear, like if it wasn't for the time schedule, he might have jumped 7.8. Because he blasted.
the only reason he
He
didn't
went
jump
early.
7.8 was because nobody made him jump 7.8.
Right, and he had to go long jump, right? So
Yeah,
he's like, you know what?
Yeah.
We're good.
He stopped high jumping for sure.
Yeah.
Good.
And then on back to the women. I mean, I think that the culminating event, first of all, big shout out to Arkansas's distance crew. It was a close meet until the 3,000, and Arkansas was like, we're going to shut this door for you right now. So, and then the 4x4 on the women's side. Wow, it was everything.
I'm gonna say, races rarely live up to the hype. That one lived up to the hype, and it was made even more intriguing by the 400-meter result. The fact
Yes.
that Roberts got the stick ahead of Mo, and it was like, okay, well, what's gonna happen now?
Mhm.
And I honestly, it was cool to see Mo, as young as she is, redeem her performance from earlier and get that job done. So I thought it was a great ending to the women's meet.
Yeah, and when you think about some of the performances, like in the women's 400, I think like 51.6 was like fifth. It was just crazy. 202 was fifth in the 800.
Mhm.
Just deep. I mean, the young lady from Alabama, she ran 22.4. Nobody knows. Nobody's talking about it because Abby ran 22.3.
She was right there. She was wrong.
Yeah.
Unafraid, stepped up. There was a lot of that. I mean, you expect that at an NCAA championship. I think the context of COVID and what these kids and coaches had to fight through to even be in the building, I think, amped up some things for a lot of people. It was a hell of a show on both sides. Now, for me, I'm never going to say that the men's meet was more interesting because I don't honestly believe.
Well, before you go to the men, like let's not forget there's a couple of women things that happened that were like the women's triple jump
Out of control.
Yeah, 46.10, and then the favorite has to do that on her last jump
Mhm.
to win on the second best jump.
And how much of this do you think we saw at the house? None of it. I think they
And
showed
the crazy. And here's the backstory. That talk about a great backstory. The young lady from A&M, I think, did that on her second jump, and she literally left the area for a while because she had been sick with COVID. She's in her COVID return protocol, right? So if you notice, she passed like with all the rest of her jumps. She was just done. And then the young lady kept getting better and better. And then behind Miss Davis in the women's long jump, you got Miss Claire Bryant, who came into the meet at 6.38 meters. She jumped 6.70. And her backup jump of 6.64. And then you got Miss Giddens, who just kept chipping away, and we thought she was going to find a way to win it. Tyra Giddens was the star of the weekend for me, of everything that happened, because she just never stopped. If you knew better, but you almost expected her to show up and run the 4x4, but that's not happening. But
they needed her.
Yeah, it was just, she was just phenomenal. But the women's long jump, the women's triple jump, the girl from Louisville winning the weight on her last throw. The young lady from, I think it's Arizona State, won the shot put. Was it Arizona State that won the shot put?
No.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Ohio State. I think it was a state in there somewhere.
How did you
On
get
her,
that?
on her, I think it was her last throw as well. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's just,
Oh,
maybe it wasn't, but I mean, that she because she won by like 2 feet. So yeah, but
Yeah.
but like the performances were just incredible.
I mean, one of the things I took from the meet was it might have been big league. If not, it was Dan Steele I was talking to about the meet. And I said, look, if you take all the first place finishes off and just run with the second places, it was a hell of a track meet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure.
Like one of the better NCAA meets. And all those people, none of those people won. And
I would love to see the tally on how many seasons best and personal best there were.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
And
I mean, you go to a collegiate meet and jump 27.4, you win. I'm sorry. Indoors, like under a roof, but you don't. But you don't, right?
Well,
you go to a meet and you jump 640 collegiately, right? No chance you get eighth. You go to a meet indoors and you jump 14 meet on the women's side, like somebody might go crazy on you once, but third? Nah. So that's what I was most compelled by, is like the top was deep. And that doesn't usually happen at the NCAA meet, right? Like, somebody hits one and goes crazy and does all that, but the top was deep.
Well, Lamar,
I mean, bowling running 2019, and he barely won.
Well, wait,
we're still talking about the women's meet. Behave yourself.
right? We're still on the
Sorry.
women's meet. So to crystallize that point, something that I found incredible, and I hope I have this right. I'm pretty sure they said it on the broadcast. So Arkansas is the indoor national champions. They didn't win
have any. Correct.
They didn't win one event. So props to Arkansas for a hell of a recruiting job and for being that deep. But has that ever happened? Like, you won the championship without winning an event? Like, that's
well, let me ask this question. I know somebody has this stat, so somebody email Big League. They had 25 females in the meet.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. And I want to know if that's a record.
They scored in the 60 hurdles, the 400, the 800, the mile, the 3K, the DMR, the long jump. Oh, 4x4.
I'm enamored with the last day. Props to BYU women winning that DMR and Bill G. Taylor. That was an incredible performance. That was a great race. The DMR, I'm a sprint guy. DMR is usually boring, but it's always fun at nationals. At nationals, it's always fun. It's always entertaining, and that was a great race. So props to BYU.
It was. Okay, so I guess we can kind of transition to the men a little bit now, and wow, when we already talked about Mr. Harrison. So,
I mean, look, on the men's side, it's almost like there's two shows. There's like the Javon conversation, and then the rest of the meet. Not because the rest of the meet was bad, but we had an entire 3-hour debate, statistical analysis on Javon Harrison's what's the word? The historical value of his double. And I would say from a conversation from 5 or 6 people whose opinions I really trust, who really, really know track, we think that that's probably top 3 doubles of any kind, any gender, any meet.
I was a part of that conversation. I'm hard pressed to find a better one. Given what the end results of that is, I'm hard pressed to find. Indoor, forget it. It's the best.
Yeah, indoor is not there. There's not another competitor indoors. But I guess at the end of the day,
well, I'm going to put this one out there before somebody emails Big League. Mr. Galen Rupp was pretty impressive back in I think it was 2009 when he won the 5K and came back in the very next event and anchored in sub 4 minutes in the DMR.
So here's what I'll say. At the meet, it was impressive, but historically, it's not very impressive at all. Like a whole bunch of people have done.
I don't know. I don't understand how a man winning the 5K, anchoring the DMR to a win is not historic. But I'm gonna let the distance pundits email you on that one, and we'll move on to something else because I do not want to debate that.
Well, let me
8:45 and 2:30.
It may not be as historical in your mind, but that's historical.
It's not about anybody's mind. We're talking about statistics. There's not another human being on this planet that has the lifetime PBs of 8:45 and 2:30, and we're done. And he did those two things back to back on the same day. So they can call me, email me, do whatever they want to.
Okay, look, I'm just telling you, okay, so I'm going to do you like I did my man Echo Job. That is your opinion and you're entitled to it. Okay, so we're not done because I am of the opinion that Mr. Rupp was historical as well. So there you have it. And now we're done. Mr. Clyde, who was your historical performance? There you go. You got one too? You know, that's the beauty of opinion, right?
I'm gonna roll with Harrison, but I'm not getting in the middle of this. I want
I'm not telling you that what Harrison did wasn't historic because it was. But you can't, like, that's just not a guy that you put him in the room and close the door. Like nobody else is allowed in there. No, not in my room anyway, but maybe in your room in your house, he's by himself.
So the two other main takeaways from the men's side of the meet was, Matthew Bowling validating a lot of the narrative that has surrounded him since his senior year in high school, and coming out there and winning that race. Upset. That was an upset. Don't get it twisted. That was an upset. And doing it in the fashion that he did. And then for me, what was also impressive about what Mr. Bowling did was to come back, and the opening leg that he delivered for Georgia on that 4x4 was incredibly impressive. However, the bigger narrative that everybody has talked about, and I think deserves, some extra time here, is the absolutely Herculean effort by North Carolina A&T to score 30 points and finish 5th. Like that, if you looked at the math before the meet started, you could probably project that they would score, somewhere in the 25 to 28 point range. I had them 28 to 30. But it's the place that they finished that makes it, the Herculean effort. They overperformed their projection, not their place projection, their point projection. They overperformed their projection while other more well-established programs failed to do so and almost walked out of there with a trophy. And those kids deserve a lot of praise for that. Like, they stepped up across the meet, left and right, and delivered great performances. And they should get their just due for that.
I don't know, they were phenomenal. They did a great job, and closing it out with the 4x4 the way they did was great as well.
What was the stat on that? It was the first time an HBCU school had won the 4x4 since the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the exact year, but it was the 60s.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I think it was back in the first 2 years of the NCAA championship, something crazy like that. Yeah, maybe Morgan State or somebody like that. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, like Dwayne Ross is doing an incredible job there. Incredible job, because they scored in the 60, the 2, the 4, and the 4x4, and that's where they got the points.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And almost snuck into the hurdle final.
Right, speaking of the hurdle final, talk about another upset. I mean, all you've heard all year long was Trey Cunningham,
Mm-hmm.
and my man Mr. Thomas was like, not having it.
Not today.
LSU had an incredible meet across the board. I mean, again, if you look at the meet, if you look at the entries and you know what you're looking at, Oregon was always going to win the meet. And props to Oregon. It's not like they
nailed it.
I mean, you could argue they had a perfect day one and just came back and continued rolling across the board. But LSU was incredible. I was more impressed by the overall performance of LSU than I was with what Oregon did, because Oregon, it was kind of expected. Now, there were events where they, I don't think a lot of people had the kid winning in the 60, but that was incredible. But LSU, like, it was like every race they were just stepping up and stepping up and stepping up. And that 44-7, my God. And I said owning my mistakes earlier. Of all my picks, the men's 400 was the worst set of picks I made. It was ridiculous. It was an epic fail. I apologize to everybody. It was ridiculous. I will not make those airs outdoors. I'll tell you that. It was a strategic pick, but it failed. It went down in flames. Terrible.
So I don't want to overlook Oregon's, I'm going to call it triumph with the DMR and their distance races, because they made those distance races very interesting to watch, and they made them competitive, and they were very aggressive. And not that we don't see that, but we don't always expect it, because when we have that first lap go up slow, everybody's like, forget about it, right? And they didn't do that. They didn't hold back. And it was really fun to see, and kind of what you all were talking about earlier. Indiana did a good job about telling Cole Hawker's story and a little bit of background about what he was doing that weekend. So it was really fun to see, to be able to see all of that and hear some of it and whatnot. So, and I mean, he is young. So it's still pretty fresh for the people who are here.
So I got two questions for the panel, who I assure you know more about all of these issues than me. So 2 questions. One, I mean, we all knew Oregon had the DMR record coming into the meet and almost broke it again running, 9:19. But was that the fastest DMR ever? Because I'm like, they ran 20 behind them and 21 behind that. Like, I felt like that was an incredible.
Well, it had to be the fastest ever, because 9:25 was the collegiate record coming into the season.
Exactly.
So it's not even close. Yeah.
Like, I didn't think the race was going to be that close, and it legitimately was close, like the whole time.
And props to Ole Miss for not backing down to him, right?
At all.
Yeah, props to Ole Miss for saying, hey, you're going to have to run 9:19 to beat us, right?
Yeah, no, that was great. Okay, so then here's the, Sir Lucious, you were in the building, so maybe you saw it, maybe you paid attention to it, I don't know. I think I'm going to get the distance wrong. Was it the 3K where the Oregon kid, Hawker, came from behind and overtook his teammate who was clearly about to win the race?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Was that odd? Was that a little weird? It on camera, it just looked like something. I don't know. It looked like it was a little shocking at the finish line. Chu, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay.
I don't know
do.
what you're saying. What it looked like to me was like Mr. Hopper was trying to win the race. That's what it looked like.
And it came off on screen like, nah, you're not going to take it. I'm going to get you. And it looked like Tara was kind of like like,
It looked like it.
And there's a possibility he would have gave that same look to somebody else if there were another team that came.
yeah. So I don't know that it was aimed towards him.
See, I don't think there was any backstory to that. It's just that Mr. Hawker's pretty good. Newsflash, right?
And I don't think anybody would begrudge him for running his heart out all the way through the line and taking the double that he righteously could take. But the interview was a little awkward.
Yeah,
It was sticky. Yeah. Well, and I think the narrative can go the other way, where, Cooper's a senior, Cole's a sophomore. Like, senior should have taken it, da 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 da. And so, I mean, either way, it was going to be a lose or a lose, because either Cole's a softie and he gives it to the senior, or, whatever it is. But I felt the tone. I felt the tone coming. So,
hey, you know what? If you don't like it, be better. I don't. That's soft.
I ain't mad at it.
I'm not mad at it at all. You know what? I don't get any props for allowing you to win a championship as a senior. I do get props for being a double champion. So you know what I'm gonna do? Be a double champion. You don't like it? Don't ease up. Like,
run faster.
They don't ease up in workouts, right? I mean, run faster.
Yeah.
I mean,
and back on the Oregon train. I mean, the triple jump.
Oh yeah, where did that come from?
That's a 3-foot PR almost.
Oh my God, that literally out of nowhere.
Yeah,
that's one of those moments where it's like, hey, our team.
It's because the young man from TCU was his first time in the building, and the runways are there, as you guys know, are different. And he finally figures it out, and he bounces out to like 55-10 or whatever it was. And the guy from Oregon just comes down, and is like, I'm done. I don't want to talk to you anymore today. He just, boom, 56.
What was funny is in the broadcast, I don't remember who it was that was commentating at that very moment. They only called it ahead by an inch. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's a foot. Like,
Yeah.
that's a lot more than an inch.
Well, we do make mistakes in the broadcast booth. And
Oh,
this one
absolutely.
Right.
But it made me second guess. I was like, wait a minute, do I have my glasses on? Like, did I just not see that right?
All the more reason.
The thing was,
Go
is
to
like,
metric, stop talking about this in feet and inches.
yeah, whatever.
That's another issue.
But like the bottom line was like, it was just like the women's meet. The energy was crazy. You know, Casey in the pole vault, you know, and he had company all the way up to the winning bar.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just like, you know, I was texting with you guys doing the weight throw. You know, our guy opens up at 80 feet. And then all of a sudden on his fifth throw, the guy from Arizona decides, hell, I'm gonna throw 78. Right. So it's like you throw 78 feet and you get beat by 2 feet. You know, it was just the whole meet was incredible. You know, we talked about the 200, you know, 2043 was fifth in the 200. Fifth. You know, 45-6, I think was fifth or sixth in the men's in the 400. You know, you run 145.90 and you get second in the 8. It just was rolled all day long, you know. And in the 4x4s, you know, A&T was 303, but I think 304, Georgia ran 304 to get 4.
Well, see, yeah. So the women's 4x4s were incredible and, you know, time-wise spectacular. There was nothing spectacular about the men's 4x4 from a time perspective, but all the heats were intriguing.
Yes.
And the final heat, I mean, the lead.
You knew it was coming, right? It was just like a build. Right.
Like it was all over the place.
Right.
It was crazy.
And if you look at the splits within each team, everybody on the track had a 44 split at some point in time.
Right.
Everybody did. Yeah, it was crazy. But they were all on different legs, I think. But they all had a 44 split.
Which what made it really intriguing to watch. So it was a larger spectacle of the SEC.
And maybe the best move made by Dwayne Ross at A&T in the meet was leading off his son, so that they weren't back in the pack. You know, he knew Bowling was going to get away, but he knew that his son was going to want to stay close to him, and that allowed the rest of his guys to run free, and that's why they won the race. Brilliant move on his part. Brilliant move.
Wow. Do we think we'll see the same outdoor, or how will it vary? Will it vary? You know, like we'll have a whole 2 seasons, quote unquote,
Well, outdoor
of COVID protocol and whatnot.
Outdoor is a completely different track meet, period.
Mm-hmm.
The qualifying to get to the meet is totally different.
True.
Period. And then with this weird thing that was going on, having cross country at the same time, I imagine that the distance races at indoor would have looked slightly different if everybody was trying to be there versus certain people, you know, picking and choosing their battles. So I think the outdoor meet's going to be completely different, more different than any other year would be otherwise.
I think if you're talking about from a performance standpoint, I think it's going to be just as spectacular. Because again, it just goes back. I don't remember an Olympic year where performances weren't crazy. And we have to remember, even though the number is different, it's an Olympic year. It is. And it's showing already. I don't see a reason why people wouldn't just come outside and do the exact same thing. And then, you know, the cathedral, as it's been dubbed, is brand new and ready to roll. And I can't imagine it's not crazy fast, right? So.
Sure. But okay, so I'll throw this out there. With the change of the administration in DC, the vaccine rollout is going very well.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think there's a possibility that we would get limited fans by June, or fans straight up by June?
I can't imagine there won't be limited fans. Well, the 2 caveats are, you know, 1, the rollout of the vaccine, and 2, it's outside. And so it's because, like, I know even here on our campus and other campuses we've talked to, there's going to be limited fans. So I can't imagine there won't be. Matter of fact, I think there was an announcement already that there may be limited fans. I got to go back through my emails and look through that, but I'm not sure how they're going to do that.
I will say that there better be fans of some level, because there have been fans at every baseball game I've been to so far.
Yeah.
Every. And the one thing is like
different.
the one thing I think is really cool, right, is that there can actually be a lot of fans there because the stadium is huge.
Yeah.
Right. So even at 30 or 40% capacity, that's still a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
When you consider how big that facility is, that's still a lot of people.
I think we would all agree if there's a rational and safe way to do it. Even if you're checking if people got their vaccines before you get in the building, like the kids deserve to have the fans in the stands. There
will be fans. I'm gonna walk out. I'm gonna climb that tree and walk out and stand tall on that limb. There's gonna be fans. I mean, look, it's Eugene, Oregon. They're going to find a way to make it work. I mean, they're going to show crap.
We know that.
Exactly. As much crap as we give for having to go out there, when you get there, nobody does it better. It's going to be great. Let's not even think about that. We just pray that the weather gods bless us.
As they usually do.
Exactly.
Well, with the weekend that we had and everything's banked now, we got everything in the books as done and sealed. Let's update our LLC Bowerman picks.
Ooh, yeah. It's still top 3, right?
So who do we got?
I thought it was 5.
Was it 5? First time I feel like it was 3.
I don't know. I just thought it was 5.
I usually think that Lucious is right. So
I'm the old guy on the panel, so I get stuff.
I feel like if Lamar was forced to pick 5 people. Wow. All right.
It's 5.
So are we cutting it down now, or are we still keeping it at 5? All right.
Keep it at 5.
Keep it at 5.
Why would we cut it down then?
Hey.
So is this true? Is this where you will read us who our 5 is, and we can remove, add, or reorder?
That's a great idea.
I don't think we took them in order. I'll be honest with you. Looking at the way they're written down,
So who your 5 were?
Just a watch list before. Now we're gonna elevate a front runner.
So on the male side, I'll go with Sir Lucious first. He had Cooper Tier, Casey Lightfoot, Javon Harrison, Isaac Grimes, and then I never put his name down, but the young man that you're just talking about from TCU, the jumper.
Yeah, that guy.
Just had it.
Good luck.
Yeah, I want to hear you say his name though.
Oh, I'm not gonna.
What's his name?
Mapaya.
Matai. All right. So do you want me to go now, since you read mine first?
Sure.
Okay, so now that we've been through the whole indoor season, I think my list has changed drastically. Obviously, Mr. Harrison is there, and he's going to be there. He's not going anywhere, unless he just. I mean, let's put it like this: if he decided to turn pro now, he's still on my list. I don't care. He's not going. He's there. Mr. Lightfoot, because he's like incredibly consistent. He remains there. I got, and this one's kind of a homer pick a little bit. I'm going to put Thomas Mardall. I mean, he threw the weight 80 foot, and is the third furthest performer in collegiate history. And then I'm going to go with Cole Hawker. I mean, I don't know how you keep him off of any list right now. And then my last one is Mr. Bowling. I mean, winning the 200 elevated him to that status that I challenged him to be. He's a champion now. He went out and did something, and it was the fashion in which he did it. And we have to remember too, even though he didn't score high, he did score in the long jump the day before, and ran well enough to get in a preferred lane in the 200 and then come back and lead off a 4x4 and 45.5 some 30 minutes after the 200 was pretty impressive. So that's my 5: Cole Hawker, Javon Harrison, Matt Bowling, Casey Lightfoot, and Thomas Mardall. And I'm going with Harrison as my front runner, which is to no one's surprise.
Got it. Well, I have it written down in this order, so I'll stick to this order. Clyde, your list went as Cooper Tier, Matt Bowling, Javon Harrison, Casey Lightfoot, and Trevor Bassett.
Yes, Mr. Bassett.
Yes.
So, I guess I'll start with Mr. Bassett, who I still have a hell of a lot of respect for. And if you weren't checking the results of the D2 championships, he had an incredible meet, part of a great team, and all of that. And he's the best athlete in D2 right now and deserved to be on that watch list. I think he deserves a lot more attention. However,
what were his marks? Because I'm guilty. I didn't check for the results.
Chu would probably get that faster
I'll
than
pull
I
it up
would.
right now.
He had incredible PRs going into the meet, and this is why he didn't elevate those at the meet. So therefore, I'm going to have to take him off for now, but he's right there, and I would definitely put him back in later on. My 5, after the dust has settled, Mr. Lightfoot for sure is on the list. I'm putting Turner Washington from Arizona State on the list. National record, hell of a shot put competition that he won. I think he deserves to be there. Already had Mr. Bolin on there, and he solidified that choice. Mr. Tier comes out, and Mr. Hawker goes in. But the runaway, hand him the trophy, is Javon Harrison of LSU. So that is my 5, and yeah, I feel pretty solid about that right now.
Trevor Bassett ran 676.
Won the hurdles.
In the hurdles, he ran 783. He won that. In the 200, he finished first with 2048. He was one of the contributing legs on the 4x4 as well as the DMR.
Yeah.
So he jogged the 60, he jogged the hurdles, and then said, okay, I want to remind y'all who I am in this 200.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Chu, what place did he get in the 60?
In the 60, he finished 3rd.
And having lived through this, having been the coach of a D2 athlete who set records and destroyed the championships, I know that without him sweeping those events, he's ultimately going to be overlooked, and that's a shame. But that kid is incredible. And outdoor, who knows what he has in store. But yeah, huge point. What does that add up to, Chu? 30 or 35 points?
1, 2.
It's funny that you say that, because I feel like Trevor Bassett is he's gaining momentum in my book. Like, I'm contemplating and putting on my list.
But then think about it. We had this conversation recently. Because he didn't win, he's going to get overlooked.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
Those people get elevated as soon as they win, regardless of who's in the race. And that's the crazy part.
Yep.
Yeah, it is crazy.
But I had to get his name back out there again.
No, he deserves
Yeah.
it. Let's
does.
just call, he deserves it. All right, Miss Big League, how bad was my first 5? I don't think it was that bad.
No, not at all. You have Cooper in there. You have Turner Washington, Casey Lightfoot, the whole NCAA 4x4 team, and then Isaac Grimes.
Wait, run that again?
I didn't have Javon Harrison on the list.
Oh, you get an F. You get an F for the original list.
All right. Well, so this is really easy. To just take Grimes out, put Javon Harrison in, and I'm staying right there.
Okay.
I love it.
That's funny.
Like I said, like, part of the issue for me is this is one of those deals, like, having done these events, I know how hard they are to do simultaneously. So I just didn't think he could do it. I'm just going to be honest. And look, you don't ever have to prove anything to me ever again. I will now believe Javon Harrison can do anything. If you tell me he's triple jumping soon, I'm buying it, because it wasn't just that he did it, which for the record was ridiculous. It was the way he did it. And the relative ease is not the right word, but like, at no point in time do I feel like he was stressed out of his comfort zone. Like, oh, that's as far as you can jump? Okay, well, I got that.
Right. And it's not like he was unchallenged. Like,
right.
He had challenges in both events. Ernie Sears did a great job.
Right. Like, the two dudes he beat, like, they legit have chances of being Olympians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just like, he dispatched them. And so like I'm going to leave my group as it is. I mean, unfortunately, I think that the A&T 4x4, I'm beating the drum. I know can't win, but it's okay. Listen.
They deserve the recognition.
They deserve the recognition to be on the list because at the end of the day, they are undefeated.
They are.
They are at an HBCU, and with all due respect to Sir Lucious and all the other wonderful coaches out there who coach wonderful quarter milers, until somebody beats them, they stay right where they are.
Got it. All right. Well, let's go to the women. Sir Lucious, you had Miss Mo, Gittins, Katie Izzo, Ruth Osoro, and Abby Steiner.
Well, Miss Mo stays, and if she decided to turn pro, just like Javon, she's still up there and she does what she does. But Miss Giddens tightened the race for me. She did. I mean, I honestly, right now, Miss Giddens is my leader. To be honest with you, after what she did this weekend, winning I didn't know she jumped 6'4", so that just put it over the top for me. So break the collegiate record, jump 6'4", and then get third at 667 or whatever she jumped. It was incredible. Abby Steiner's still there. Again, I'm standing in the tree. I'm not on the limb yet with you there, Chuck. I'm sorry, Clyde. I got to put Tara on there for what she did, and as Clyde so eloquently, let us know the backstory to that. The injuries and the things she's been through, and then I'm gonna do what a lot of people do, especially us sprint coaches. 705 is 705, man, and collegiate record. And she's gonna have to do something outdoors to solidify that by running a good 100. But when you run 705, you can stop and tie your shoe and still run 11.1 or 11.0. So you'll be okay. So that's my 5: Miss Mo, Miss Giddens, Miss Steiner, Miss Nelson, and Miss Davis, with Miss Giddens being my leader right now.
All right, Clyde, you had Miss Mo, Abby, Ruth Osoro, TT Terry. Oh, that's something we didn't talk about. And Katie Izzo.
Well, interestingly enough, me and Lamar were having a lot of agreement in our predictions. Some of that went well, some of it didn't. Yeah, my little scratch paper here. Me and Sir Lucious are in complete agreement here. Davis, Nelson, Mo, Steiner, and Gittins. And I think, at least in the interim, the women's Bowerman debate is one of the better debates we've had in a while, because the records that Miss Mo set and the way she set them are undeniable. Again, 158.40, okay? But at the NCAA meet, she didn't win anything.
Right.
And if this is a collegiate award, it has to go to Miss Giddens right now.
Yeah.
I actually don't even think it's really that close.
Yeah.
Right.
And the crazy thing is that if Miss Mo decided to turn professional right now, she would turn professional without ever having an individual NCAA title.
Which is insane. Right.
Exactly. It is insane.
But I mean,
which is why I think she's coming back. I think she's gonna run outdoors. I think so.
It's interesting you say that. I thought about that while watching the meet. Like, if she wins that 400, at the end of the day, the Arkansas women in the 3K were too much to overcome for the team title. Mm-hmm. But if she wins that race and breaks the collegiate record in the 400, like most people expected her to do, would we see her outdoors? I don't know. But I think now there's like a chip, unfinished business, if you will. And maybe she may never run the outdoor open 4. You know what I mean? I think it was a strategic play in the point battle to put her in the 4 versus the 8. You may not see it again, but I agree with you. But no, I mean, listen, Davis, obviously, Nelson, obviously, Steiner, obviously. And funny enough, all of those women, national record holders now.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's a lame performance on the board,
but
Ms. Giddens did everything. So she has to be the front runner right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Last but not least, you had Miss Mo, Steiner, the Texas A&M 4x4, Tyra Gittins, and you actually omitted after that? You said there was a whopping, I don't know, because you didn't feel like anybody could fulfill a fifth spot.
And I was right until the NCAA meet. And so now I am going to put the 5 collegiate record holders as my group. So I think that means Clyde and I have the same people.
We all
As
do.
well.
We all did.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, like, why would we not? I mean, there's 5 collegiate record holders currently standing. Like, that's insanity, first of all. That 5 women's collegiate records were broken during the indoor season and indoor meet, and that they all have eligibility outdoors, and that they all probably are expecting to do bigger and better things outdoors. If we're going to be
I don't want you
honest.
now, let's remember the conversations we had way back 40-something weeks ago. There's a lot of people that are going to show up outdoors we forgot about. And I'm not saying they're going, that's nothing to do with the Bowerman, but some of these people's outdoor teams are going to be real crazy. The NCAA, please don't worry about the NCAA outdoor meet being a retarded championship, because it's going to be a retarded championship.
It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's going to be ridiculous. I mean, just that list of 5 women, like, the things I'm looking forward to out of them are like, can Tyra Gittens actually make an attempt at the outdoor collegiate record, which is substantially harder than the indoor. But when you jump 6'4", you jump 6'4". Like, like, that makes it, there's crazy things that can happen outside. And to that end, so Tara Davis gets to go outside and get wind behind her back. So 7 meters is not asking too much, right? When you jump 693 under a roof, like, and so on. What is Abby Steiner going to run 21 seconds? I don't know. I don't know. I just know this, that all 5 of those young ladies have separated themselves currently from the rest of the country as far as it pertains to the Bowerman Award. Now, to Lucious's point, there's somebody who we haven't talked about yet, who is going to show up early and often in the outdoor season and get themselves in the mix. And unfortunately, the way statistics works, probably one of these 5 isn't going to quite have as good an outdoor season as they had indoor. I'm not wishing that on anybody, but just statistically, that's usually how it works. Sure, so I will be surprised if this is the final 5 at the end, but I'll say this. If the award was given out right now, I think Tyra Gittens wins it in a very, 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 very close vote.
All right. Well, those are down. We'll revisit them again and see how they change come outdoor.
Is that the first time all 3 of us agreed on anything?
Yes. Yes.
We can't even agree on it.
Props to the young ladies for making it obvious and easy for us.
Oh, goodness. Well, then let's not make it easy anymore. Let's kind of a curveball, maybe a little lob, I don't know. Your March Madness Final 4 picks. We are in, 'tis the season. We live in the state. The city that I work in is hosting March Madness Finals. I'm going to assume this is the men's finals. I don't know that. Are we courageous enough to do the women's finals?
No, because Gino Ariyama has COVID, so no, I'm not
COVID. Yeah. So, yeah.
He messed me up.
No offense.
We can pick the women's next time.
Yeah. We'll prepare for that one.
Yeah. We do a little research on that.
Right. I definitely need study time for that.
All right. So men's final.
You got to get in this now. You getting in this.
I knew you would do that. Because I surely didn't. I was formulating all of this for you guys. All right. Let's go around. Let's not let you blurt all 4. Or do we want to make everybody just poop on the spot and give all 4?
That's the only way to do it. Just give all 4.
All right. Who's first?
I mean, I'm happy to defer to my basketball gurus here, unless they would.
First of all, see, I want you to stop because see, you're referring to us as gurus so that you think that because you think you're going to win, and then you can come say back and say, this guy who has no basketball knowledge beat the gurus. Nobody's a guru.
Let me be clear about
I'm
this.
not a, no,
I have watched absolutely zero college basketball this year, and I am putting my undefeated crown on the line here. I have no confidence.
And nothing you just said makes me either Lamar or I a guru. Zero.
A couple, who knows what show it was, we were discussing our favorite non-track sports. You guys were the basketball lovers.
Once again, nothing you said makes Lamar or I guru, sir.
All right.
I like the way you set this up. Then you'll have the medal out again. And,
if I win, I'm gonna have way more than the medal out.
Anyway, so I will go first so we can stop this useless banter that is going on right now. So I got Gonzaga winning the West. I've got Alabama winning the East. Houston winning the Midwest and Baylor winning the South. Is that right?
Interesting.
And then I've got Gonzaga beating Alabama. I've got Baylor beating Houston, and Gonzaga beating Baylor for the title.
That's really funny. Because I'll give mine next. We got to the same conclusion a really different way. Like we have the same championship game, but that's it.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't know whether Northeast, South, or West, but I got Gonzaga, Michigan, Baylor, and Illinois as my final four. And then I have Gonzaga playing Baylor for the championship. And I have the Bulldogs winning the championship.
Okay. Chu, would you
Which, for the record, that'd be the first time there've been an undefeated team since the UNLV.
Indiana.
UNLV lost.
Oh, UNLV's undefeated team lost. They had lost the game the year before when they won. So yeah, it's Indiana with Keith Smart.
I'm gonna get this slightly wrong, but I'm a PTI fanatic, and they were talking about this a few days ago. Gonzaga is chasing Lou Alcindor's UCLA, Bill Walton's UCLA, Bobby Knight's Indiana, and Bill Russell's San Francisco. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's the list. So an incredible feat, maybe. And because they're a West Coast school, because they're an underdog always, I am so rooting for Gonzaga. So,
but they're not an underdog this year, just for the record.
Hey, Gonzaga in the tourney, whatever their record is, you know there's people out here right now that are like, nope, no way, no how. You know they
don't play anybody. They don't
you know that's the narrative. So
they're undefeated, folks.
They curb stomped Duke at the beginning of the season.
But everybody curb stomped Duke this year.
No. But this was when Duke was still good, and we weren't talking about COVID or any of this nonsense. They beat Duke by like 40.
This is all true. But the point is, all three of us have Gonzaga winning. The interesting part about my Final Four is what I've learned in the past 48 hours from the pundits is that this is the greatest collection of Big Ten teams ever. And so my Final Four is Gonzaga and the Big Ten. I got Michigan, Illinois, and Purdue.
And okay. See, no, you picked the wrong Big Ten team.
No, not in that bracket. I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Look at the bracket,
bruh. I looked at the bracket.
Oh, yeah.
I got them going.
Right.
I got them
Purdue over Ohio State. You're right.
Over Ohio.
I was like,
Ohio State.
No, Ohio. They're playing Ohio in the first round.
No.
Is Ohio State in the same bracket though?
They
No.
are.
No, they're
Ohio
not.
State's in the same bracket. Yes, they are.
They are. Baylor's the number 1 seed, and Ohio State's the number 2 seed. Purdue's the number 4 seed.
No, Iowa's in the number 2 seed.
Huh?
Let me find this.
Looking at
What bracket is Ohio State in?
Iowa is on the side with Gonzaga.
Uh-oh, Chew.
Yeah, Iowa's all the way up top with Gonzaga. I don't. You're
Iowa's
probably looking at the women's meet.
West. Iowa's number 2 in the West. Ohio State is number 2 in the South, with Baylor as number 1. And I have Purdue beating Baylor and then Purdue beating Ohio State. So all Big Ten.
Yeah, he's right. I don't know what you're looking at, Big League.
I don't know
Yeah,
what I'm looking at.
I think you're looking at the women's tournament.
No, they're clearly men on my screen right now.
Oh, then I don't know what you're
Clearly.
looking at. I have no idea what you're looking at.
I am 100% sure that I'm right about where they are seated. Not about the
You
page.
are. You are.
I got Purdue, Michigan, Illinois, and Gonzaga. All Big Ten and the West Coast. I'm with it.
I would have had all Big Ten except for Gonzaga, except I believe too much in Baylor.
I'm sorry. Will you say yours again, Clyde? I'm still baffled that I don't know what bracket I was looking at.
Good. Illinois, Michigan, Purdue, and Gonzaga. And I have Gonzaga winning the title.
Yeah, you have Purdue beating
who?
Baylor.
Yes, I do.
Who's Gonzaga beating in your championship game?
Oh, yes. Hold on. I have over Illinois. I have Gonzaga meeting Illinois in the final show.
So if I'm doing this correctly, I think that means you have Purdue playing Illinois in the Final Four.
Yes.
If
Is
they
that
make
correct?
the Final Four,
Yeah, that's who you have
yeah,
because
that's how. I mean, it
I
matches
have
up the way
Baylor
it's
beating
up.
Purdue and then Baylor beating Ohio State. So yeah, you would have Purdue playing Ohio State in the Sweet 16 and then Purdue beating
You
them.
have, you have Gonzaga beating who in the final?
I have Gonzaga over
Michigan.
Illinois.
Okay, Illinois.
Yeah.
So you have
Illinois-
Gonzaga beating
Illinois would
Michigan in the
play
semifinal.
Right. Illinois can only play Michigan in this example.
In the final.
In the Final Four, Illinois would be matched up against Michigan.
No. Gonzaga
I'm
plays
sorry, I'm
Michigan
sorry.
and Baylor
Gonzaga
plays
would be
Illinois.
over Michigan, and Illinois would be over Purdue.
Right.
That is how it goes.
Oh.
I'm sure that the Boilermakers appreciate your love.
Hey, I can't go straight chalk. You know what I mean? I can't.
I do love how the committee put Purdue, Ohio State, and Illinois in the same side.
I'm gonna have to submit mine later. I don't know what I'm looking at.
You got lost in the brackets.
I did. I don't know. I literally hit some.
Okay,
It said
well,
bracket.
Please give us your champion too.
I do have Gonzaga winning. That is my winner.
Everybody's on the Gonzaga train, which means they're going to go out in the second round. Jeez.
I think that mine. I think it's gonna look a little bit differently going up, but I do have Gonzaga taking it. I've been a fan.
We're all cursed, right? We there's no way we can all pick the same team and have it come out.
No.
Dude, but I feel like, look, I mean, that is true. And you know, I will go down in history as saying that I do believe there were shenanigans involving the story I'm about to tell. But I feel like Gonzaga is like that undefeated UNLV team. Like, I think they are actually far superior to the rest of the college basketball teams. Now, they still may not win, but it's kind of hard when you're looking at it on paper to not pick them to beat anybody that they play.
I hear you.
I mean, I've seen that team put up 100 points 3 times this year.
They are very good.
And I don't think that they will ever fall into the trap of like being the complacent best team, because to your point, like nobody expects, like even though they're the best team, I think there's people out there like, nah, ain't no way they're going to win. I do agree with you on that.
That is the consensus. Like that was the whole segment that I had caught on TV. It's like, do you realize what teams they're chasing? There's no way that you're telling me that this Gonzaga team is akin to these teams. Like, they just won't accept it. I'm like, hey, I'm rooting for that. If nothing else, I'm rooting for it.
I mean, that will be one of these things is not like the others of all time.
Absolutely.
When you got, you know, a Luau Sindor UCLA team, a Bill Walton UCLA team, and an Isaiah Thomas IU team. And can you name Gonzaga's and Bill Russell USF team and Gonzaga's guys?
I know Mark Pugh's the coach. That's what I know.
Mark Pugh is the coach.
Well, I'll submit mine via social media as soon as I get the bracket right. And that way I'm held to it. I will work on that either by tonight or tomorrow. Mark my word. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can we get confirmation of what you were actually looking at?
I don't know. I don't know. It had Iowa in that where Ohio State was. I don't know what it was.
Have you been eating edibles? What is going on with you?
Listen,
No.
This is not like you to make any kinds of mistakes like this. This is not like you at all.
she was looking at the same screen when she made her NCAA pick.
Oh, shots fired.
Hey, we had some of the same picks.
It's all good.
Anyways. So funny
I
you
only
say
did
that.
it I'm on the hot seat too.
I know. I was just gonna say. I was like, funny you say that because now your arse is on fire. So, you've taken your sip. I'm gonna tell you you're ready. All right. So, start off easy. What's your number one Tupac banger?
Ooh, man. You should put that in last. You said banger, so I'm gonna go with Ambitious as a Rider.
Okay. And thank you for listening to what I said, because agreed. There's ones that you listen to, but it's got to be in front, right?
Yeah.
So, first thing you did after you won your first NCAA championship as a coach.
Cried instantly.
Aw.
I was basket case. It was ridiculous.
Got it. Finish this sentence. My mom wishes I.
Oh boy.
My mom wishes my mom wishes that I took better care of myself.
Got it. MC rapper. MC Hammer. Is he a rapper or a preacher? In your eyes?
He's an entertainer because he's not good at either one of those other two.
That's why I'd ask you that question. There you go. I love it. What was your get in the blocks routine when you raced?
For some reason, I was a person who could like take a step and jump really, really high in the air. And I don't know why I thought that was a thing. I probably saw some random person who I respected do it. But I would always do that. I step in front of my blocks and I jump as high as possible. And it was always higher than whoever was on the line with me. That was just my thing. I don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason to it at all.
Last but not least, first thing I do when I walk in from practice is
Like usually or recently?
Usually. More often. Yeah, I guess, right? More often than not. Non-COVID.
No. What I honestly always do, given the time frame, I always turn on the news. I put on Rachel Maddow.
Got it. All right. Well, you're not on fire anymore. Fun
For the
times.
record, Gina, because I know you watching the show, I wish you took better care of yourself too.
You can't say that to mom.
I sure can.
Love it. Love it. Well, with that adoring love, we will spread a little bit of love across these beautiful people that cross our lives every day and show them and tell them that we care while they're here to hear it. Is there anybody jumping out of their seat to show this amor?
I'll go first. Mine's pretty straightforward. We talked about Trevor Bassett and his accolades from the D2 meet. I don't think D2 gets a lot of the praise that it deserves. So it's my heartbeat props are kind of a split tonight. It's to all the D2 athletes and the incredible performances and championships that were won on the same weekend. But more specifically, it goes out to Diljit Taylor at BYU. Diljit's an incredible coach, and I first encountered her at Division II when she was working at Cal State Stanislaus. And we were both, we're West Coast coaches, so we would see each other around the way, but it was indoors at my first national championships that my women won with Art U, where Stanislaus didn't have a team fight going on, but they had a DMR fight going on. And Diljit's energy was infectious. And you could really tell that she was great at her job and how much she cared about her kids. And that has lived on everywhere else she's been. And the job that she's doing out at BYU, which is still a mid-major, that doesn't get a lot of respect that it deserves. If you weren't paying attention this weekend, not only did BYU women do an incredible job at the indoor meet, then 2 days later, they went out and won the NCAA cross country meet. And to have that collection of talent, split the meets, and do that great of a coaching job, Diljit Taylor, standing ovation, lady. You're doing everything you need to do, and it's fun to watch. I'm a fan.
And if you didn't know, those were completely separate squads. There was no crossover.
Yeah, right. Totally different squads. Like coming out of COVID, like it's crazy. Great job.
Agreed. I'm gonna go along with that same wave. Kudos to the D3 programs who kept active, because with their 90% activity rate or participation rate, they're actually gonna have an outdoor championship. So that's pretty awesome, like holding the faith, keeping it there, and not saying, woe is me and not having an indoor, so let's concede outdoor already. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, I'm completely wrong, but I read yesterday that D3 will have an outdoor championship. So I think that's a testament as to wanting to be athletic and wanting to compete. So good stuff.
My props go out to the entire Division I coaching body and athlete body, and even the administrators. For the championship to be pulled off as smoothly and seamlessly as it was, it took a lot of effort by a lot of people. And as we've talked about this whole show, the performances were just outstanding. So kudos to everybody that had a hand in that. And I'm looking forward to outdoors and think it's going to be even bigger and better.
Whew. Well, it's funny. When I first thought of this to do as my heartbeat props, I was like, I'm going to take a lot of crap for this. And then I thought about it and I was like, I'm me. Why do I care what crap I take? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to give my heartbeat props to a group of people I 100% know don't watch this show. And it's all the JUCO Bandit baseball players in the country. And here's why. We do a lot of things to keep all of our NCAA athletes safe at very high costs, all kinds of testing protocols and all of those things. At the junior college level, that is just not possible. And in order to keep themselves safe, they have to self-regulate and self-manage. And most of them live in some level of bubble, and a great deal of them play baseball games with masks on. All of them ride vans or buses because it's not as simple for them to, we'll just take 2 buses and we'll social distance, because they don't have the money for that. All of them wear masks from trip to trip. Like, so it's a 4-hour bus ride and you're sitting on a bus with a mask on because there's no other options. And yet they still keep playing. And the junior college coaches, the junior college players, and even the junior college administrators who have taken the tougher route, which is to play, as opposed to the easier route, which is to not, they are deserving of at least my props, because I do spend a fair amount of time in that world. And so I get to see it. And, they don't play. I mean, look, you sign up for junior college, so you get it. Like, you don't play on the greatest fields. You may not have a locker room, like all of those things notwithstanding. But at the end of the day, they are risking their lives just as any other Division I, II, or III NCAA athlete is, and maybe more so because of the lack of finances for protocols and such. And they're still grinding it out and doing great jobs and putting up incredible performances, much like all of our track and field brethren are. I would like to second my props to all of the folks that you guys have already mentioned, because I think that they too have also touched my heart. But I just think that this particular week, I wanted to speak to a group that really and truly never ever gets any props. Not even really in the baseball world, to be honest, but certainly not here. And I say that because I'm pretty sure the junior college track is probably operating under the same guys, right? You're probably still having to figure out travel because more money isn't the option. More testing isn't the option because there just isn't money to do so. So, so for me, this week, my heartbeat props go to the group of JUCO bandits that run around this country, producing marks and working to keep themselves safe and trying to continue on their journey to try to become Major League Baseball players.
I don't see why you get any flack for that, man. That is very well said.
Agreed.
And in the realm of that, I know all of us here are on our vaccine trips and making sure that our people in our family are doing their thing. So everybody go out and get it done. It's the best direct path to us all getting back to the lives that we want to live. I'm doing just fine. Mine's done. Go get yours done.
I will say this on that regard. If you, and I was one of these people, if you have skepticism or questions or legitimate concerns about the vaccine, there is a, I don't know, it's roughly 30 minutes long, right?
Mhm.
There's a Tyler Perry, I don't know if it's a documentary, but whatever it is, I mean, it's easy to find. And I will give him massive amount of props because he asked all of the questions that people like myself who are skeptical have. He asked all of the questions, you know? And I think it's really, really good to watch. If you had, you know, if you're just down with vaccines, like go for it. But if you're one that just you wonder why you should, or you're fearful about it, I think it's worthwhile watching. I don't know the name of it. Do you remember the name of it?
No, it's with.
It's easy to find.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you
it's with
Google
Oprah.
Tyler, I was
Oh,
like,
no,
if
it's
you
not with
Google
Oprah.
Tyler Perry vaccine documentary, it'll come up, I'm sure. But it's worthwhile, and it was
the episode too.
It was a very helpful 30 minutes for me.
I will put it in the description. It's coming up and it's taking a little bit longer. I'll put it in the description of the episode for sure. But yeah, with that said, ooh-wee. Another great
50
show.
down.
Another great show. Yeah, 2 weeks to a whole cycle. Oh my goodness, it's back. It's back.
Congratulations, Sir Clyde.
Yes, winning all over the place. I love it. I love it. Well, gentlemen, as always, thank you so much for your time. It's always fun going back and forth, learning, and just being silly. Look at that. Look at that. Just holding it in the screen, just gleaming it in the light. Well, you all have a great post-indoor, pre-outdoor weekend, and we'll see each other in a few days.
Expecto Patronum.
I was trying to think of one and I didn't have it, so I just let it go. Bye, everyone.